Greetings, everyone. I'm Steve McPhail, Director of Studies at OET Online. Today, we're going to talk about the retell lecture part of the PTE exam. Let's get into it. So in terms of format, you're always given instructions. So you hear a lecture. After listening to the lecture, in 10 seconds, that means 10 seconds to give your response, please speak into the microphone and retell what you've just heard from the lecture in your own words. You'll have 40 seconds to give your response. That's what it is. Quite often you'll be given an image related to the topic of the lecture. Sometimes not. That's a nice little clue just to engage your brain a little bit, but your main focus will be on the actual lecture that you hear. As always, there's an audio status box that you can adjust. And once you've heard that lecture and you retell it in your own words, that will go into that response status window, and you'll be able to determine when to start and when to end. It does test listening and speaking. Listening as you listen to the lecture and take notes. Speaking is your retell. There's only 1 to 2 tasks, so it's not a major part of the exam, but it still carries significant weighting. A bit more detail, you see an image relating to a 60 to 90 second lecture, during which time you will take notes. That's a must. And you must retell the lecture in your own words within 40 seconds, yes. And there's 2 types of tasks, really, just a straight out lecture. It's more like a monologue, one person speaking. And the other option that you might hear is an interview. The interviewee will have the main information that you want to take notes on. Assessment, much like in other tasks, you have your oral fluency from 0 to 5 and your pronunciation from 0 to 5. And then you have your content section. Content's always important. If you develop the skills of note-taking, and you have good listening skills, you will be able to capture a lot of that information. It is also on the scale of 0 to 5. And the greater amount of information that you're able to note down and then put into your own words, the more marks you're going to get. All right, so you've got to listen very carefully for the key words and the main ideas, and then represent that in your own words. There's a lot of skill involved. Very useful skills all around for your English language communication. So this type of task definitely has that positive washback to help you improve your communication skills as well. Let's talk about the listening and note-taking strategies, because it's not going to be possible for you to keep it all in your head. The better you are at note-taking, the more complete your summary will be. Fortunately, note-taking is an academic skill that develops with regular practice. The more you do it, the better you get. So, firstly, make sure you write down keywords or short phrases. Don't write in complete sentences because you're going to miss the key points. No articles, no prepositions, these sorts of things. But you can put your verbs, nouns, and adjectives. Make note of any technical words, and including names of places, because that relates to your topic and it will give you context. Your vocabulary is being tested. If you pick up on any idiomatic language, phrasal verbs, colloquialisms, you can also use that in your summary as well. You might find that easier to speak to. If you lose track and don't understand a section of the talk, don't panic, just wait, follow the thread and wait until there's some transition signal. Therefore, however, for that reason, there'll be some signal and you can pick up that thread and continue to listen. Structure your notes so they're easy to follow. One of the major issues that people face is that they can't read their own notes, causing hesitation in that retell section. But you can use various techniques such as headings, subheadings, bullet points, and so forth to help you capture that information in a clear and organized manner. So let's look at a few tips and strategies. Number one is symbols and abbreviations. You don't really want to write words in full because speed is essential. So some really common ones, you wouldn't want to write a word like government, obviously. You can write gov or govt, Q for question, prob for problem, sol for solution, temp for temperature, N for environment, circum for circumstances. Just a few of the common ones. You can also shorten words. Years, we can remove the middle vowels there. Same with months, hours. Minutes just begins the start of the word, so the seconds. Kilometer has a standard short form, km. Info for information. Kg for kilogram. Imp is sufficient for important. Ness for necessary. Etc. we know. E.g., i.e. For example. There are many of them. Develop your own style. Make sure that you're not wasting time writing words in full. Now, symbols is a big one. If you can use a symbol rather than a word, it's going to make it faster for you to write down, but also quicker for you to retell that lecture. So we've got symbols for equal, not equal, plus, minus, more than, less than. We can have an arrow facing horizontally, which means it causes something, it leads to something or results in something. Arrow up, rise, increase. Arrow down, falls, decrease, and so forth. Okay, that's abbreviations and short forms. Another nice skill is to use a concept map. So what that means is you put the main topic, once you capture the topic, in this case, ecotourism, put that in the center of your paper. And then as you're listening and you hear ideas, you can have little words going out to other bubbles, thought bubbles. So increasingly popular, marketing ploy, benefits and disadvantages. You can list the information, and that's like a memory cue, right? Once you have those topics, often the word that you write down is the cue for the rest of the sentence. You know, often all you need is that stimulus, and the remainder comes from your working memory. Here's a little example of what handwritten notes can look like, because on exam day, you could type on your screen, but you are given an erasable notepad as well. So which is better? Well, it's up to you, but I do believe the majority of people prefer that handwritten approach, and it does have some benefits. It can help with memory, and it is quite often faster. So if I'm taking notes and speed is important, I'm going to handwrite. If I've got more time, I'm probably going to type it. But in this exam, you know, you have a lot of information with a short amount of time. I would suggest handwritten is a good way to do it. Have a look at this example we've put together for you. Topic, nature versus nurture. Got arrow down nature, genetics. We've got the traits set before birth, talents, preferences. And then we've got a case study, nurture, environment, relationships, and the caring around us. And then twins raised separately, nurture. They had the same gestures, which would indicate nature. So that alone is enough. If you listen to the lecture, it's quite a bit of information. It's clearly presented. It would allow you to read that back, I think, quite effectively. So how about you? Do you have the skill? A lot of you, I'm sure, do, where you can really present information clearly. If you have that skill, that organized manner, that's going to help you in this part of the exam. All right, let's do a live example. For this one, I'm going to play the audio, and I just want you to observe the technique as you listen and look how the notes come up and what words are being used in the notes and how that relates to the lecture itself. All right, so got our space for model notes. I'm going to play the audio. Here we go.
A cold shower has many purported health benefits, both physically and mentally. Physically, cold water has been shown to improve our blood circulation. And that's not all. There's also evidence that a cold shower can help you lose weight. As amazing as this sounds, this is actually supported by research. A study found that cold water immersion at 14 degrees Celsius can increase our metabolism and help to burn fat. Then there are the mental health benefits of cold showers. Cold water immersion has been found to increase mental alertness. In addition, in older adults, cold water applied to the face and neck has been shown to improve brain function as well. The list goes on. A cold shower may also help relieve symptoms of depression. Well, you might be asking how this is possible. Well, a cold shower sends an overwhelming amount of electrical impulses from our nerve endings to the brain, and scientists have found that this may have an antidepressive effect.
All right, there we go, everyone. So we've got the notes, fairly comprehensive notes, lots of arrows, symbols, short form. So what does the retell look like? I'll read it out to you. This lecture is about physical and mental health benefits of cold showers. First, a cold shower can improve our blood circulation. Besides that, a cold shower can also help us lose weight, as water immersion at 14 degrees Celsius can increase our metabolism and burn fat. In addition, cold water immersion can increase mental alertness. In older adults, cold water applied to the face and neck can improve brain function as well. A cold shower can also relieve symptoms of depression. In conclusion, cold showers are beneficial to our health. There it is, everyone. Now, I think we covered most of that. A few tips that I recommend to improve clarity: add signal words such as "this lecture is about," first, besides that, in addition, in conclusion, just to give yourself some structure there when you're speaking. That can really help the presentation. All right, let's just dig a little deeper and look at the transcripts and analyze how it's done. So you can see the nouns, adjectives and adverbs are being focused on. Key pieces of information is being gathered. You can see no prepositions or articles here, maybe just one, at, lots of arrows up. And this is what you're trying to achieve, all right? Few sections where it was complicated we might have missed, that's fine. So you're trying to just capture a percentage of what you hear. And while these notes may feel quite detailed, it's a skill you can develop. But you don't have to take this amount of notes, you just build your skills. But I think the more you do it, the more notes you'll be able to take. But remember, you've got your working memory to support you. Right, let's do a second example. This time I'm going to play it twice. I'll play it once, and I want you to listen to it, and I want you to take notes. Then I'm going to play it a second time, and I want you to compare with the notes that come up on the screen. So pen in hand, piece of paper, see if you can take notes. The topic is parking.
Parking has always been an issue in our cities, and most city parking spots come with a hefty price tag. This prompted some cities to provide cheaper parking in high-demand locations. However, the long-term availability of cheap urban parking is not necessarily a good thing. Firstly, when cheaper parking is available in cities, people would then choose to drive to cities rather than use public transport, which is a way more sustainable mode of travel. Eventually, this means people buy more cars and take more trips by personal vehicles. Secondly, when cheap parking spots fill up during peak hours, people tend to cruise for a parking space. Imagine if everyone decided to drive around in circles while waiting for a parking spot. This means that more fuel is burned for the sake of finding the perfect spot. Ultimately, it creates more congestion, pollution, and greenhouse gas emissions.
All right, how did you go? You get your notes down? Let's play again and compare.
Parking has always been an issue in our cities, and most city parking spots come with a hefty price tag. This prompted some cities to provide cheaper parking in high-demand locations. However, the long-term availability of cheap urban parking is not necessarily a good thing. Firstly, when cheaper parking is available in cities, people would then choose to drive to cities rather than use public transport, which is a way more sustainable mode of travel. Eventually, this means people buy more cars and take more trips by personal vehicles. Secondly, when cheap parking spots fill up during peak hours, people tend to cruise for a parking space. Imagine if everyone decided to drive around in circles while waiting for a parking spot. This means that more fuel is burned for the sake of finding the perfect spot. Ultimately, it creates more congestion, pollution, and greenhouse gas emissions.
All right, now I'm going to have a go, everyone, and just read directly from the notes, and then we can compare with the model answer. All right. So in this lecture, the speaker describes the issue of parking in our cities. A lot of cities have expensive parking spots, and they weren't used as much. However, cities in response tried to provide cheaper parking. However, there's many negative implications because with cheap parking, more people tend to go in and utilize these parking spots. As a result, people tend not to use public transport. Secondly, people will also just cruise searching, looking for that perfect spot, but actually using more fuel in the process, causing congestion, pollution, greenhouse gases. So it's not really a suitable thing. In the end, governments need to plan carefully and make informed decisions on what price they put on parking. All right, now that's what you got to do. It's quite fluid, it's challenging, it's a skill to build. Here's a model answer. The speaker talks about the issue of city parking. Most parking spots in cities are expensive, and this prompted some cities to provide cheaper parking. However, cheaper urban parking is not really a good thing. Firstly, people will tend to drive instead of taking public transport, which is more sustainable for the environment. Secondly, people will cruise and search for cheaper parking space. Hence, this causes congestion, pollution, and more greenhouse gas emissions. In conclusion, cheap urban parking may not be good for the environment. Okay, so what you're going to do here, everyone, is practice reading from your notes. We've got models. We've got lots of examples that you can practice with on our website. The models are for you to build your vocabulary and give you sentence structure. But I really do advise you to, like I demonstrated, just practice doing it. The more you do it, the better you will get. Again, this is a slightly an argumentative style talk. We've used standard phrases, signal words to help us structure our retell. All right, let's do a deep analysis, looking at the notes and the actual transcript. So we can see here what's being highlighted, which words we've actually caught and written down. Less than the last one, but we've still got quite a bit of information, and that's the key to retell lecture. Obviously, vocabulary is important, and I suggest to you every time that you do one of these tasks, You make notes of all those words that you don't know. Keep a notebook, build your vocabulary, tune your ear. The more you do it, the better you get. It's a lovely task. It's a challenging task, but it gives you really good academic skills that you may already have, that you can demonstrate or that you can build, which will help you in your future endeavors. Right, now it's your turn. A great range of practice tasks on this website. Get stuck in, build your skills, and I wish you good progress.